welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Yvonne of Starwisp. In this video, I am doing a sort of compare and contrast. It didn't start out that way, but that's what it ended up being. So I'm comparing the M-gram watercolors, and I have like a limited palette for that brand, and then I'm comparing that to the Paul Rubens, and I'm just trying to see how I like working with both of those. I'm also trying out the Turner Design Gouache for the first time, so you'll see that in this video as well. Please enjoy. I have all of the swatches done for these three paints that I wanted to test out that I've had on hand for a little while. This first one is the Paul Rubens 24 pan set. I recorded myself doing those swatches, but I didn't record myself doing other swatches because it just became a mundane task and I just didn't have time to set up everything for it. But you'll see the results of me doing the swatches soon. So this has had a day to dry. This is, like I said, the Paul Rubens 24 pan set. And you can see how vibrant the colors look even after drying for a day. And I don't know, I was super impressed with the quality of these paints as I was painting. I was a little worried when it came to like this color here. It's one of the royal purples, and you can see that it kind of separated a bit and became just a little bit grainy while painting. And you can also kind of see that there is a bit of a shimmer in the colors. And it's actually in the paint pans too. So it's not my paintbrush, it's not my like water cup or anything like that. It's the actual paint. So it's kind of cool. I don't mind it. So I did this swatch process. I will say that, oh my goodness, working with these paints was kind of like, you know, just, they were so smooth, like butter. So I'm really happy with this set. My mother-in-law got it for me for Christmas, so I'm super grateful for it. I went ahead and I wrote down I'm pretty sure it's the light fastness, and I think they go up to a scale of 8. So I wrote that down just so I could easily reference it because it is on there. And as you saw before, I did do the swatches on the piece of paper that they provided as well as my own paper just to see if there'd be a bit of a difference. And there kind of is. And I mean, there's always going to be a difference when it comes to working with different papers. So like you can see those like right next to each other. And you can sort of see that the paper that they provided absorbed the pigment a little bit more, I guess, deeply than the paper that I have. It sits, the darker color sits more on top of the paper, and it could just be the paper type. This paper that I used is the Strathmore Visual Journal 140-pound cold press watercolor. So it's not like super quality watercolor paper, but I like it for what it is. It's just it's a journal. So it's a sketchbook essentially. But yeah, I was really impressed with the quality of paint, and it's not a cheap palette. I will list the one that I got in the description box below. That way you can go check out the specs yourself. But while I was doing the swatches, I was really intrigued by like the reds that came out of the tubes. So I wanted to do a painting using most of the reds. So I did a painting of these mushrooms, and I'll cover this one up because I'll go over that one in a bit. So I did a painting of the mushrooms, these mushrooms. Because I wanted to just see how the red worked in terms of illustrating, and it worked. The colors mixed so well. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I did go over the paint using the Turner Acryl Gouache with like the white, just so I could get like the highlights and the little fungal parts of the mushroom. I don't know what they're called, but yeah, you know what I mean. So I think for this one I used these colors here, and I even went in with some of the blue here and this green. I think it's called Christmas green, and maybe I used some yellow ochre too. So I used some of the yellow ochre too in the shadowy spots. And I use the purple in the shadows. So what I try to do when I'm painting is I try to avoid using black because sometimes it can be too stark when it comes to doing a painting. So I try to use blues and purples and browns to help create the forms of whatever it is I'm painting, to give it a softer look, I guess. But yeah, I was super, I'm going to cover that up again so it's not distracting. But I was super, super impressed with the quality of paint that is the Paul Rubens watercolor. I'm going to be using that for client work. I have to do some, I have a new book gig coming, so I am going to be using this watercolor paint while working on that book. So yeah, and I wasn't trying to make this video like a compare and contrast. It was mostly going to be just me testing out these paints for the sake of me knowing how they work and how the colors interact. But I did end up changing my mind in that respect when it comes to the watercolors that I tested out. So I tested out the Paul Rubens watercolor, and I also tested out this sample palette that my mom gave me of the M-grams, and you can see the yellow kind of got away from the little section, but it's okay. So the M-gram watercolors are really, really pricey. So I had ended up looking up the prices of the tubes just to kind of see, and they're kind of costly. But I'll have to say that maybe I should have used these first before I used the Paul Rubens, because I had high expectations for the Paul Rubens. And I kind of had high expectations for this when I saw that price tag. But while working on these mushrooms here, I found that the paint, like, you needed to use layers and layers and layers. With the Paul Rubens, you didn't have to layer as much. And I found working on those mushrooms to go a little bit more quickly. But using these, and it could just be because that I'm limited by the amount of colors I have in this palette, but I tried to stick with similar colors. That's why I painted like the same type of mushrooms. I tried to stick with similar colors that I used in the Paul Rubens palette, but I still had a hard time with mixing these colors, and with just, I had to wait for the paint to dry between layers, so that I could build up the layers. And it was just a little bit, and I mean, you have to do that anyway. That's just the nature of watercolor. So maybe I was being a bit rushy, but I'm not sure that I like the M-grams quite as much as I like the Paul Rubens. And I'm going to give you like a little close-up of the swatches. So you can kind of see that when I was doing the swatches, that the color is like a little bit, I don't know, patchy. I'm not sure why, or if it's just, you know, this type of paper, because paper absolutely has to do a lot with how watercolor sets, and you can kind of see that it got a little bit grainy there. But overall, it is not a bad paint. I still like it. I think it's a good paint to use. I'm probably not going to be using it. It's just since I have this sample palette, granted, with how small, even though these cakes are as small as they are, it's so much pigment. This would probably last for quite a while. But besides that, I still think I prefer the Paul Rubens, because it didn't take me as much effort to try to achieve the colors that I wanted, or the layering that I wanted. I also wanted to add that one of the reasons for me painting on this sheet, in addition to painting in, oh my goodness, leave the light alone, please. Thank you. Hi. Sorry, daughter's messing with the light. Okay, so one of the reasons why I also painted on this sheet, in addition to painting in my little sketchbook, is because I'm going to hang this up in my studio just to see how well it holds up, however long it's hanging up there, in terms of like light facetedness and stuff like that. And I think it'll be fine. I just like to just see if it's gonna dull. I even dated it at the bottom, so yep. All right, so on to the Turner Design Gouache. Okay, so I finally got my hands on some Turner Design Gouache, which is pretty much like standard gouache. I'm a little bit more familiar with the Acryl Gouache, and I just say that in terms of me being familiar with, using it like 2 or 3 times. I'm not the biggest fan of it, so I wanted to try some standard gouache because I have been using the gouache palette, which is pretty much standard gouache, but I'm not 100% positive on the light fastness and quality of the paint. Not sure in terms of like where it's from. I think I read somewhere that it was manufactured in China, which I know a lot of things are, but I'm just not sure about the quality of paint. There's not really much information out there about it that I've seen so far. So I wanted to get something so I got the Turner Design Gouache, and there's a little bit more information about it, and it's light fastness and all that fun stuff. So I wanted to do some swatches of that, as you saw. I don't think I recorded swatching these. So I actually really happy with these colors. I got the 18 count Turner Design Gouache set, and it was actually on sale at Jerry's Artarama online. So we have a Jerry's local. However, I don't think they have this set on hand. I didn't see it in their store. I think I just saw the 12 color set, and their 12 color set was like $87 or something like that. So I was like, So I saw it on Amazon, the 12 color set, for like $52 or something akin to that. And I was gonna get it, but then I was like, wait a minute, let me check Jerry's online, so their actual website, and they had a super sale going on. So I got this 18 count set for like $47.50, something like that. A steal compared to how it cost everywhere else. So even like trying to order it from my local Jerry's on their website, it was still way too expensive, like the 18 count set. So I said, let me check, you know, the actual Jerry's website, and it ended up being much cheaper because they were running a super sale, and I'm glad I did. Because I really wanted this set. I plan on doing a larger, like 18 by 24 inch painting using it. I've already got the details worked out, so eventually I will start that painting, and I do plan to record it, so look out for that in the future. So back to me testing the squash out. So I just kept with the theme of doing like the mushrooms, and you might have saw a peek of it earlier, but this is the Turner Design Gouache experiment here, this ugly creepy little mushroom here. And I'd have to say that I love the way the colors mix. I love the vibrancy of them all, and I think the only issue that I did have when it came to using the paint is that if you saw while I was like getting my palette together, some of the colors aren't mixed anymore. They seem to have separated, is what I'm trying to say. Like the binder seems to have separated from like the pigment and whatever else there is in paint. So I'm gonna figure out a way to mix those, or if I even need to mix those before doing my larger painting. I might just have to like put a skewer inside the containers and kind of like swirl it around or something like that to mix them, or like a little wire piece. Sorry for shaking the camera, but yeah, so I'm, you know, super happy with how those worked, and they worked out really smooth. I mean, if you use enough paint on your paintbrush, it will give you that sort of, I think impasto is the right word. I really should know. I'm technically an art historian, but it's neither here nor there. But so going back to the swatch is, yeah, I really like how they work. So I ended up using the mixing white in addition to the colors, just to see kind of how it mixed. And there is a difference between like the mixing white, and that's probably like titanium white or something. Let me check. No, oh yeah, it's titanium white. So a titanium white there, and then the mixing white. So you can see that there is a difference in those colors. Or is it a color? But yeah, I'm really, really happy that I got this set. I am super excited to paint with it. I plan on doing that larger illustration with it, and I'm also going to be doing the doing a couple of more smaller illustrations in my watercolor journal sketchbook thing, just to see how they all work out before I start more larger scale projects, because I do plan to do my own children's book using gouache, and it's probably going to be this gouache. So yeah, I really hope that you all enjoyed me doing all of these swatches and mushroom paintings. They turned out kind of cute. So rewinding things back a little bit, I prefer Paul Rubens over the M-grams. Both are kind of costly, but they last you forever. They're considered professional grade materials, so I do recommend that you use those if you're planning on selling your paintings. I definitely recommend using more professional grade materials. If you have the student grade, they work just as well, but you don't want to be cheap when it comes to quality, especially if you're selling something. But I mean, I still use like all student grade materials for like practicing and stuff in my sketchbook, so there's nothing wrong with that. But you want something that's going to last for a while, definitely you have to pay a higher price point. Sucks to say. But yeah, here's a Turner Design Gouache again. But yeah, I am going to go ahead and check out of this video. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I hope that you got something valuable out of me doing these paint swatches. I know I did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I can give you whatever knowledge I have on these paintings and watercolor / gouache painting in general. So yeah, feel free to comment, ask a question. Definitely like if you like this video, and subscribe. And yeah, go ahead and give me a follow on like Instagram too. I'd love to chat with you there. All right, have a good day or night. Bye-bye. Okay, so it is March 4th, and I am looking back at these swatches from February 7th just to see how they're faring on this type of paper. S is for sandwich, yes. Sorry, my daughter is going through her alphabet cards right now. All right, so these are the Paul Rubens. And you can see that over time the color has, and the pigment has sort of kind of dispersed a little bit more. But it doesn't look bad. Like, it actually looks good. I mean, it's doing what watercolor does. Alright, let's flip to... This is the Paul Rubens mushroom. Igloo, yes. And it's still looking pretty good. I don't really see too big of a difference in terms of like how the color has moved or anything, or continued to spread out or fade or anything like that. I'll go back to that one in a second. And wait, where is it? Oh, I guess yeah. C is for cupcake. And these are the M grams. And they don't look too bad either. And I think I'm changing my opinion on the M grams. I actually really like them. I just don't have, you know, a bunch of colors. I just have the little sample pack. I will say though that you can see that the violet got a little bit grainy on the top of the mushroom. Like in this area here, it's kind of grainy. But overall, the color is like super vibrant. You might not be able to tell in here because my lighting kind of sucks, but they're very vibrant. And I don't know. I think that they compare well to the Paul Rubens. And the white highlights is just from the Acryl Gouache. Yo-yo, good job. And that's just a mushroom I did with the Turner Design Gouache just to try it out. All right, so, and these swatches don't look bad either. I have the official like Paul Rubens swatch paper up here just to see how it does every day out in the with the sunlight hitting it. So we'll see how that goes after another couple months, just to see if it's as archival and as light fast as it claims, and I'm sure it is. So, but alrighty. And everyone, this concludes my unintentional compare and contrast of the M-Gram watercolors and the Paul Rubens watercolors. Overall, like I said, I love both of them. They worked out just fine. I do like the Paul Rubens set a little bit more. Take that as you will. I really love the way that I was able to color mix the Turner gouache. So yeah, I really enjoyed the use of all of the palettes that I tried in this video, and I hope that you gained some sort of insight from watching me try these out. Thank you so much for watching. Join me for the next video. I'll be doing something random, I guess. So thank you so much again. Like and subscribe if you liked, and I will catch you in the next.